The Wise Elephant and the Magic Calabash, a story of courage and kindness. Once upon a time, deep in the heart of the African savanna, animals of all kinds lived in harmony, or at least tried to. There were playful monkeys swinging from branch to branch, zebra herds grazing gracefully, and the cunning hyenas always ready with a mischievous laugh. But among them all, the wisest and kindest was Mzee Tembo, the great elephant. He was so old and wise that the animals often joked he had been around since the very first baobab tree sprouted. One day, as the animals gathered for their morning drink at the watering hole, young Chuma the tortoise asked, "Mzee Tembo, is it true you're older than the river itself?" Mzee Tembo chuckled, his deep laugh like the rumbling of distant thunder. "If I had a pebble for every time I've been asked that," he said, "I could build a mountain taller than the baobab trees." Everyone burst into laughter, and even the hyenas couldn't resist joining in. But soon the laughter died down. Word had spread of a great problem facing the savanna, one that would need more than laughter to fix. You see, a mysterious drought had gripped the land. No rain had fallen in months, and the river that once flowed freely was now just a trickle. The trees were parched and the grasses had turned brown. The animals were beginning to worry. As everyone exchanged anxious glances, Mzee Tembo stood tall, his eyes filled with wisdom and calm. "My friends," he began, "there is an ancient story about a magic calabash, a gourd so powerful that it can summon rain from the sky with but a single drop of water. But it's hidden far away in the mountains beyond the great hills, guarded by challenges only the brave can face." The younger animals whispered excitedly, imagining the magic calabash filling their watering hole with fresh, cool water. But the older ones exchanged worried looks. They knew such quests were full of danger. Just then Zuri the zebra stepped forward. "I'll go," she said boldly, though her voice shook a little. "I'll find this calabash and bring water to our land." Mzee Tembo nodded approvingly, but he knew Zuri could not do this alone. "Zuri, your courage is a gift," he said gently, "but you will need wisdom to guide you on this journey. And so, I will join you." With a cheer from the animals, the journey to find the magic calabash began. But little did Zuri and Mzee Tembo know, the path ahead was filled with mysterious wonders and unforeseen challenges. They would have to cross the plains where the mischievous spirits played tricks on travelers, navigate the dark jungles where the leopards watched with glowing eyes, and climb the steep cliffs where the mountain winds roared. As Mzee Tembo and Zuri walked, the old elephant shared stories of his youth, tales of kindness and bravery that filled Zuri with confidence. "Why, did I ever tell you about the time I tricked a whole clan of baboons with a single mango?" he asked, a twinkle in his eye. "No?" Zuri laughed. "What happened?" "Oh, that's a tale for another time," Mzee Tembo chuckled. "For now, we have a magic calabash to find." And so, with each step, their spirits lifted, strengthened by stories and laughter as they made their way through the savanna toward the unknown. The journey was long, and the sun was high in the sky by the time Mzee Tembo and Zuri reached the edge of the savanna. Ahead of them stretched the mysterious spirit plains, a place known for strange whispers and tricks that left travelers bewildered. It was said that no one could walk straight across the spirit plains without finding themselves circling back to where they'd started. But Mzee Tembo had a plan. "Now, Zuri," he began with a knowing smile, "the spirits love to play games. They'll try to confuse us, but if we keep singing, they'll be so distracted by our song that they won't notice we're crossing their plains." Zuri tilted her head in surprise. "Singing? But I only know one song, the one my mother taught me." "That's perfect," Mzee Tembo declared. "We'll sing it together loud and proud. Ready?" And so, with Mzee Tembo's deep, booming voice and Zuri's high, sweet tones, they started to sing. As they walked, they sang about the savanna and the adventures that awaited. Sure enough, strange wisps of mist began to form around them, and they could hear soft whispers and faint giggles floating on the air. "Oh, do you hear that, Zuri?" came a sneaky voice from somewhere above. "Indeed, it's that wise old elephant," replied another voice, high and tinkling like bells. "Why don't we give him a little turnabout, eh?" the voices giggled. But Mzee Tembo and Zuri kept on singing, ignoring the sneaky voices. And as they sang louder, the mist around them grew thicker until they could barely see their own feet. But Mzee Tembo's wise eyes stayed sharp, and with his trunk, he nudged Zuri along in the right direction. Before long, the whispers faded and the mist cleared. They had reached the end of the spirit plains. Zuri turned and looked back, marveling. "Mzee Tembo, I thought we would never make it. How did you know that singing would work?" The wise elephant chuckled. "Oh, it's something I learned from the birds. Spirits are curious creatures. Give them something else to focus on, and they'll forget all about causing trouble for us. Zuri nodded, feeling both grateful and a little braver with every step. Next, they approached the edge of the dark jungle. Here, the trees grew tall and dense, blocking out nearly all sunlight. Strange sounds echoed from within, and Zuri shivered. But Mzee Tembo reassured her with a gentle pat on the back. "Fear not, Zuri," he said. "Just remember, courage is not the absence of fear. It's moving forward despite it." They ventured into the jungle, where every rustling leaf seemed to hide a pair of glowing eyes watching them from the shadows. Suddenly, a sleek figure leapt out onto the path, a leopard with gleaming eyes and a glistening coat. Well, what do we have here?" purred the leopard, circling around them. "Travelers in my jungle, Mzee Tembo didn't flinch. He gave a polite nod to the leopard. "Greetings, friend. We are simply passing through on our way to find the Magic Calabash." The leopard raised a brow, clearly intrigued. "The Magic Calabash? You must be very brave, or very foolish." Mzee Tembo held his ground and smiled. "Perhaps a bit of both. But tell me, would you not wish for rain to return, so the streams could fill, and the grasslands would grow lush again?" The leopard paused, his interest piqued. After a moment's thought, he shrugged. "Very well. I will let you pass, old one. But beware, many dangers lie ahead." With a flick of his tail, the leopard disappeared into the shadows. Zuri let out a sigh of relief, but Mzee Tembo simply chuckled. "You see, Zuri, even the fiercest creatures can be reasoned with if you show them respect and understanding." They continued deeper into the jungle, pushing through thick vines and underbrush, until they reached a wide river. The water was fast and treacherous, swirling around rocks with a loud roar. But in the middle of the river was an old tree trunk, stretching just far enough to form a natural bridge. "This looks dangerous," Zuri whispered, eyeing the rushing water below. Mzee Tembo gave her an encouraging nudge. "Hold on to my tail, Zuri. We'll take it slow, step by step." And so they began to cross, Zuri clinging tightly to Mzee Tembo's tail as they balanced on the narrow trunk. The river roared beneath them, spraying cool mist on their faces, but step by step they made it to the other side. Just as they were catching their breath, they heard a faint sound, almost like music carried on the wind. Zuri's ears perked up. "Mzee Tembo," she said, excitement lighting up her face. "Do you hear that? It's coming from the mountain." Mzee Tembo nodded, his wise eyes glinting with a hint of satisfaction. "Yes, my young friend. The Magic Calabash must be near. But remember, we must face one last challenge, the Mountain of Echoes." They looked up and saw the towering mountain, steep and rugged, with clouds swirling around its peak. The music grew louder as they approached, a haunting melody that filled the air and seemed to wrap around them like a warm embrace. But the Mountain of Echoes was no ordinary mountain. Legend said it was alive, responding to every sound with strange, echoing voices that could either guide travelers or lead them astray. Mzee Tembo and Zuri would need all their courage, and all their kindness, to face this final test. As they began to climb the Mountain of Echoes, the music became clearer and more enchanting, filling their hearts with a strange mix of excitement and nervousness. Mzee Tembo knew that they would have to be careful. Many had been lost on this mountain, guided astray by the mysterious voices. Step by step they wound their way up narrow rocky paths. The echoes around them grew louder, and soon they heard voices calling their names. "Zuri? Mzee Tembo?" The voices were soft but filled with a sense of urgency. "Who calls our names?" Zuri whispered, feeling a chill run down her spine. "It's the mountain testing our resolve," Mzee Tembo replied calmly. "Stay close and keep your mind focused on the calabash." As they climbed higher, the voices grew louder and more confusing. One moment it sounded like a friendly voice calling them forward. The next, a stern one warning them to turn back. Zuri felt her heart racing as she tried to make sense of the cacophony. But Mzee Tembo remained calm, guiding her along with his steady presence. Finally, they reached a ledge where a large stone door stood before them, carved with intricate patterns of animals and symbols. In the center of the door was a single hollow calabash, shimmering faintly as if enchanted. "We found it," Zuri gasped, her heart pounding with excitement. Mzee Tembo approached the stone door cautiously. "But remember, Zuri, the calabash can only be taken by one with a pure heart who seeks its power not for themselves, but for others." Zuri nodded, and together they reached for the calabash. As they touched it, a deep voice boomed from within the mountain. "Who dares seek the Magic Calabash?" it asked. Mzee Tembo replied with quiet strength, "We come not for ourselves but for our friends and family on the savanna, who are suffering from drought." For a long moment there was silence. Then, to their amazement, the stone door began to open slowly, revealing a hidden chamber filled with shimmering water. In the center of the chamber rested the magic calabash, glowing with a soft, blue light. The voice spoke again, this time gentler. Take the calabash and use it wisely. Remember, its power will only serve those who act with kindness and courage. With great reverence, Zuri and Mzee Tembo lifted the magic calabash and made their way back down the mountain. The return journey seemed easier, as if the mountain itself was guiding their steps. When they finally reached the savanna, animals of all kinds gathered around, their eyes wide with wonder as they gazed at the magic calabash. With a respectful bow, Mzee Tembo dipped his trunk into the calabash and let a single drop fall onto the dry earth. To everyone's amazement, clouds gathered above, dark and heavy, rumbling with the promise of rain. Moments later, a gentle rain began to fall, soaking the parched land, filling the rivers, and bringing life back to the savanna. The animals cheered, their spirits lifted by the sight of the life-giving rain. They gathered around Mzee Tembo and Zuri, singing songs of gratitude and joy, knowing that the kindness and courage of their friends had saved them all. And so, with laughter and celebration, the story of Mzee Tembo, Zuri, and the magic calabash became a legend, passed down from generation to generation as a reminder of the power of courage, kindness, and a heart that seeks good for others. And that, dear friends, is the story of the wise elephant and the magic calabash. A tale of courage, kindness, and the power of selflessness. If you enjoyed this journey with Mzee Tembo and Zuri, be sure to stay tuned for more incredible African folktales that remind us of life's most valuable lessons. Did you love the story? Don't forget to like, subscribe, click on the follow button to follow us on this page, and share it with friends who could use a little magic and inspiration. Let us know in the comments which part of the story touched your heart the most, and get ready for more magical tales from across Africa. Until next time, may courage and kindness be with you always.